really do what love is all about.
Voice, Vicenza Oro International Community Event. In questi 3 giorni, grandi e piccoli...
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today to talk about the future, the supply chain, the industry, jewelry and gold. It's a complicated moment. Every person, every company is busy trying to reconstruct the recovery. So we have invited a great leader. He's from France. He's an international manager. He started in Unilever and Danone, and then he chaired Cartier and Lecoutre. At the beginning of 2018, he was appointed Vice President and CEO of the Damiani Group. Let's join hands to welcome Jerome Favier. Welcome, Jerome. You speak Italian wonderfully, and he says bonjour in French. We could speak Italian. What's your impression? What do you feel in being in a place where we have the booths with hundreds of companies, the jewels? It's a great joy indeed. My wish was to meet our partners again and to get out of the office and work. We never stopped, but we had to work remotely. So being closer physically is a great joy to me. Let's start with a video clip talking about your brand, and then we'll go on with the interview.
E allora dal laboratorio
Well, from the workshop to the red carpet, we could enter your world. I have a lot of questions for you, and I welcome those who are following us. We have an open channel. We have a telephone number. You can write, text, or WhatsApp. 335-708549. Let me begin by saying that we are here to talk about the recovery. Has the recovery started? Well, recovery, our world has never stopped. Indeed, we had a major hit to our industry and to all our industries. We have learned to work in a different way. We've learned to work remotely. The challenge is how to get organized, how to work in this new world. We already have some visibility, but still the scenario is blurred. It's not a restart. It's a reorganization of different methods and different means. We have the same messages, the same values, the same people. We have new talents for new functions. This is the challenge that we have. So it's not a restart. It's a reinvention that has always guided the history of the Damiani family and group, which is taking speed. So you are rethinking the model. What are the signs coming from the market? Official statistics tell us that after a major collapse of exports from Italy, now we have a plus 35%. Survey is surprising. More than 70% or 77% of people interviewed says that the past 4 months are rather good. Some of them said pretty good. Are they too optimistic? Is the demand coming back? As a matter of fact, there is no single market. We have many markets. There are different realities. Just consider Italy, for example. What we just experienced is that there are provinces also in southern Italy where people are very optimistic and buy a lot. There are others most affected by the pandemic, so they are a bit lagging behind as compared with the past year. As for our group, Damiani has a direct distribution with our shops and also a multiple brand chain in Italy. We have shops in the airports. Unfortunately, there are no tourists, so those shops are lagging behind. It's very difficult to draw averages, which are a combination of minus and plus. So there are different realities. That shows that when people come, when the range, the supply is good for that customer, and we have the right partners, things go well. We hear a lot of negative news. However, consumption, or rather the purchase, which is a word I prefer, purchasing jewels for our sales and to give is very dynamic. That's very interesting. We know that the jewelry luxury industry is rethinking itself in the light of the changes of behaviors of consumers. People travel less, not only in airports, but also in high streets. For example, you have a shop in Monte Napoleone in Milan. The dream for jewels continue to be there. Many people are trying to get closer to consumers where they live. What do you do for that? What's the challenge? What are the changes in your customers? Well, that started well before the crisis of the pandemics. On a personal note, and that's the reason why I'm here today to represent the Damiani group, is this. The final customer indeed has changed a lot because they want honesty. We need to be true to customers. We need to be just, tell how things are. This is what customers demand. They want authenticity from the different brands. And this is one of the reasons why I came back to the Damiani company. Authenticity comes from the family, the location in Valenza. They represent the made in Italy, 100% internal manufacturing, dedicated teams, own distribution network. This is real, and this is what the final customer demands. They were bombed by marketing messages over the past few years. That's good. But we have a lot of digitalization activities, so customers are able to distinguish reality from marketing. You said made in Italy. We have the whole supply chain of jewelry here. It's Italian, and they highlight and enhance the value of made in Italy on international markets. How can we further enhance made in Italy for a brand which has a long past tradition but has to face new challenges? Once and again, we have to be true. The large majority, top of the range jewels are made in Italy. You asked, is there still a future for made in Italy? I mean, I am French. Maybe it's a paradox that I continue to praise Italy, but still I do believe that there is a great future. You have the know-how. We invested in Valenza recently. We bought the exhibition building to have all the labs in an excellence pool. If I draw a comparison with watches, Swiss watches are an asset. That's a fact. We know that made in Italy is an asset. You said that you bought the former exhibition hall in Valenza to put all your labs. One of the standing issues is fragmentation. We have many small companies with a few employees. How can a company maintain its cross ability while being able to remain and prosper in the international market where skills and abilities are requested? Well, that's a great challenge. That's a very multiple question. That's part of our DNA. Damiani was born as a craft company. We became an international group, even though small, if compared with other giants of the planet. We are the biggest of the small, but we preserve our craftsmanship. People speak about the big companies of luxury. Luxury is authenticity, it's not industry, it's craftsmanship, it's a know-how. The former exhibition hall we bought, we did that because we are Damiani group. There are many, so we had to combine everything. You mentioned the fragmented market of jewelries and gold in Italy in particular. We are the only one which has consolidated. That's part of our history. We consolidated different companies in a group which supports the Italian design, the Italian style of life, which is indeed very important. So the world is large. We are little, but we are very ambitious. I'd like to thank the IEG for offering us the opportunity to communicate. The challenge is not only making, because we do that, but our communicating. We don't need to invent new things. We, as Damiani Group and as an industry, have to better communicate. What have been the changes in communicating luxury? That is not indeed an industry. We have been locked down for some months. Now we are more digital than before. Things are speeding up, apart from e-commerce. Also the way of contacting extraordinary and excellent products that many like you propose. Are you rethinking the way to reach and speak to the final consumer? Indeed. But that was born well before this crisis. Well, multiple channel, digitalization, communication. Well, if you read that we spend about from 3 to 5 hours a day surfing on the phone, and you have different possible screenshots on the same screen. And we have to do that and go through that. But that is a point of strength. Vis-à-vis the challenges. We have to communicate our know-how. We are trying to exploit these means. I'm happy to be here physically in person. This does not mean that we will only have a digital world, but that is an amplifier at world level. As we are doing now, we are connected with many people online. The fashion brands are digital now, and they are accelerating. The top of the range jewelry has always been a bit more reluctant. We saw the black gloves, the rights, and the experience of buying jewels physically. The major brands said, we cannot replicate that online. I don't want to be like in a chain shop like all the others. Do you think that that will continue or not? You're right. Indeed, we have to be aware that we are lagging behind as compared with other sectors and industries. We are not going to replicate what others are doing, but still there is a revolution also in terms of generations. In Asia, for example, there are completely different approaches. Also, you can also order your breakfast digitally in China. I was talking with some customers recently about that. We will not have breakfast delivered at home every day. But we should not forget that there are customers who came to our shops to learn. They come already well prepared thanks to all the digital means. The multiple channel is that.
Contenuto e ciò che facciamo.
So we have to give content to what we do and sell. So how do you see the relationship between these different channels? You have 60 shops around the world. You just renovated one in Lugano. So what is the relationship between these shops, and how are you changing your investments? Well, again, this is a journey of customers throughout these channels. It's difficult to track exactly what they have done, whether they go to the shop first and then to the e-commerce channel or vice versa. But anyway, it works very well. And that's why we are implementing a new digital strategy. We've had good results in these past few months in terms of e-commerce. And we are running behind other sectors, as you said, fashion or food, or the books. So, in fact, we are creating something that has not existed yet, and it is a new journey for the customers. And nevertheless, we should not forget that our objects have to be touched and worn. So this is something very important for us. It's not exclusive, but very important. Well, you said that there is not one single market, but there are many markets. And you mentioned China. Well, we know that China, until last year, before COVID, was the main market for the fashion world and also for jewelry. Now, Bertelli of Prada said that consumption in China went back to pre-COVID results. Well, you just carried out a very important operation with Yuan, which is a big company which has invested a lot also in Milan, for example. So what do you expect out of this deal with Yuan? Well, thank you so much for your question. Well, we've been in China for many years. We have 3 shops in the most important department stores in China. But 3 shops are not sufficient in China. China is a big country. And so we wanted to have an alliance with a leading group in China, which is a leader also in the area of jewelry. Because the company Yuan, which belongs to the Fosun company, has a parent company which is called Miao, which is the leading company for Chinese jewelry. And they identified our group, our brand, and Made in Italy as a very important asset, which is very much required by and searched for by Chinese consumers. Of course, we needed a local help, and so we made this marriage, so to say, a joint venture. And we have a plan, a strategic plan, which will be implemented in October, at the beginning of October. And that is for Damiani and Salvini, with many shops, in order to spread and promote this Italian style and to bring back our Chinese consumers. Well, you know that one of the challenges for luxury brands, think of Bulgari, is that of remaining Italian. Well, for Suni, don't you think that in the end they will be tempted to make an offer? Well, who knows? Well, that's why I went. I joined Damiani. Damiani was at the Milan Stock Exchange. We got the company private again because we don't want to sell, but we have to have alliances. And, well, you mentioned another name earlier. And perhaps I'm the only non-Italian person at Damiani, but you know, Italian family, 3rd generation, still alive, because you mentioned a lot of names, and it's beautiful brands, but we no longer have a person of the family. So if you go back to the foundations of luxury, well, luxury at the end of this century or the last century was a small workshop, and people went to that workshop where there was an artisan working with a lot of skills. Well, the luxury industry had a bad impact, so to say, on this world because it's full of strategies implemented by French people, by Italian people, with a connection with the same people. And this is shown by Damiani. Damiani is a good example of that. Think of Giorgio Damiani. We have customers who want a special design from us, and this is an asset. Well, this is value. This is value. Well, Italian companies are family-owned companies very often, which, however, had some limitations over time because growth may be more difficult because of the big conglomerates. And the French companies have been very good at creating alliances with other companies. So on one hand, there is a certain difficulty in growing, and historically there is a certain resistance towards managers who take up the reins of the company and sort of reduce the decision-making power of the family. Well, you come from Richemont, a big international group, and you know what happens in Italy. So why have you decided to accept this challenge? Well, it's the challenge of our company. There is a big fragmentation, a lot of families, good families with a lot of skills. But let's say that the Damiani brothers are a step forward, though opening their management to also foreign managers. But there is no other choice. This is the way to get together, to make alliances, and to enrich the approach of the past with the current strength and a vision for tomorrow. So this is a big challenge. We cannot get back to the past, and we have to be open to the future. And we can't be alone in this world. Well, I'll tell you the truth. We have a lot of open strategies because, as I told you, it is in our DNA, the fact of making alliances. And so now we have new initiatives in terms of brand, in terms of distribution, with the Roca chain, and we have also alliances in terms of production, because in these three assets, brand, production, and consumption, so there is a big fragmentation in Italy. And we want to be ready to make alliances in order to strengthen our Made in Italy. And I have to say that the example of the Damiani brothers is a winning example for Made in Italy and for our sector, which will no longer be as it was in the past, that is very fragmented and made by small family-owned companies, because big companies will become bigger and bigger, and the small companies will disappear. Well, we are the biggest among the small companies, so we have a big chance. We are convinced that we are on the right road, and we want to accelerate that. But in order to buy, you need resources, you need money. Well, you delisted in order to be more free. We know that there is a lot of liquidity. Perhaps you have a lot of equity funds knocking at your door. But do you feel that you can bring forward this consolidation, as you called it? Well, again, I repeat, we are small. We have our resources, but in terms of this challenge, of course, by definition, resources are limited. But let's wait and see. And again, for us, what is fundamental is to be honest and true to the customer. And so we wanted to manage our short, mid-term strategy with a reference to our final customer. So again, I go back to the authenticity, to the originality of the value. I'm sorry for the stock exchange, but we wanted to do something right for our partners, for our stakeholders, for our customers. Now, the final customer is increasingly sensitive to the values transmitted by the brands. Your sector has some open questions, diamonds and corals, and Dino Damiani recently became the president of the ASSOGEM committee. Now, how important is this aspect, the relationship between ethics and business? Again, this is the visible part of the iceberg, because for us it's nothing new. Our chairman, Cavalieri and Cavalier Dino Damiani has accepted this responsibility with a lot of passion because he already feels this responsibility, and he has felt this responsibility for many years. So this is nothing new for us. So the respect of the Kimberley process, the AGC, etc. But again, as we are an important group, it's important to let it know, to make it publish, and to be a champion or an ambassador of the Made in Italy. Well, I'm receiving many questions, and there is a question from Marco, who says, we appreciate your optimism, but what are the main risks that you see ahead? Well, the main risks is that there is a limited visibility in this world. Last night, we had a dinner with the organizers of this exhibition. And nobody last year could have expected such a crisis. So the risks today are not related to management or trust, but these are macro risks with macroeconomic effects. Well, you can ask my team, because I always say that when I joined Damiani, we talked a lot about pandemics, about twin towers. So who could have expected that we could have the twin towers or the pandemic? So these are the risks today. But we are agile, we are very elastic, and I have to say that in Italy you're very elastic. So we are elastic, and we are able to adapt to change and to adapt to a changing world. And it's very difficult to foresee and forecast not what will happen in 10 years' time, but because you asked me about the 10-year vision, but it's very difficult to forecast what will happen in 1 year time. So from Jaipur, from India, there is a colleague who works with emeralds, and he asks you, we are interested in getting in touch with Damiani. How can we have this contact? So how are you getting in touch with your partners? Well, it's very simple. Damiani.com, where there is a window called Contact, and, we're very open. We can be reached by everybody. If he wants, we have a shop in Dubai Mall. Okay, so another couple of things. The first relates to a piece of news that we told in our magazine this week. That is the Vuemash Tiffany question. Negotiations have been broken, and Lumash announced this week that he withdraws from the operation. Now, apart from the legal question, what is the meaning of this operation, which has been so important in the world of jewelry? So,
dell'uso. La gioielleria, l'oreficeria sta andando avanti con molto più positività che il mondo degli orologi. E si è visto ultimamente, l'ultimo anno, con Richemont che ha comprato la Buccellati, LVMH che è stato più che...
Yes, they are interested in Tiffany. Of course, fragmentation is present, but that would not continue. In the future, we'll have a consolidation to reach a level of maturity that we don't have here, which is there in the world of fashion. That is something which was present in the consumption habits, the importance of the brand as compared with the non-brands. And in the world of jewelry, there are a lot of non-brands. The father of the Damiani family had already understood 30 years ago that the future is in the brand, that we like it or not. The consolidation will be done at the level of the brands. In the future, branding will be disseminated. You said that there are many important projects. Will you conclude one by the end of the year? Well, we cross our fingers every day. We are working on important projects. We are lucky because we have been contacted by many people. In fact, that is something which is already paved. The branding, the distribution, these are the key pillars on which we are working seriously. The family company, the governance, after 3 years, how are things going? Are you agreed on everything? Well, indeed, no. We have been doing business for 3 years. However, in the past, I already knew the family, and we also had the opportunity to share the vision. So that matching started many years ago, where and when we already shared our values and ideas. I am a lucky person. They are up to date. They understood that they were in need of an international manager, and I'm happy because I learned a lot from the best jewelries in Italy and in the world. So we have found a balance. We have some disagreements. Still, we can integrate a family approach with a corporate approach, and the Italian approach with an approach which has a touch of France. And this is our purpose, and we obtain very good things. We integrate ourselves. As far as beautiful things are concerned, we started with the beautiful pictures of jewels. You will be introducing something here. We have a preview. Instead of launching new lines, as you can see here, this line, which we call Margherita, which is Daisy, was designed 50 years ago for Queen Margherita. In Italian, Margherita means Daisy. So we are designing this pendant with diamonds and emeralds. These are just sketches. So we are inspired to the Margherita line, which is the second best-selling line, with a much more colorful line. Last year we had the rainbow collection, and today we have many colors following the Margherita line, with a high-level approach with this watch with a special device on top of that, and also with a more entry level in line with the present trends. Thank you very much, and enjoy the Voice Trade Fair. See you in 10 minutes at 12 o'clock sharp with the 4 young innovators.